got Mr. Raj Kapoor, Salman Rajput, Anuj Chaudhary, and Dr. Anand. So, with that, let me hand over back to our moderator. Girish, over to you again.
Yeah, thank you everyone. I welcome all the speakers today in the panel, and that's I'm very happy to have you all at one single panel and talk around all the amazing stuff we are going to talk about. So I would love to welcome all our panel members here, starting with Raj Kapoor, who is a globally recognized leader in emerging technology, founder of the Indian Blockchain Alliance and chairman of the Global Alliance for Artificial Intelligence and Innovation. He advises 100 plus blockchain, AI, and Web3 firms, including Tata, Alexei, Payometrics, and Zonix Inc., a certified Bitcoin professional and blockchain architect. He drives standard as pro tem chairman of OBTU. As chief board advisor at NapBooks, he leads India's largest blockchain e-notary rollout. A former unicorn CSO, Raj is a four-time TEDx speaker, has addressed 150 plus forums, contributes to top media, and received multiple global awards for innovation, leadership, and impact. Welcome, Raj. Thank you. Happy to have you, and good to see you here again online.
Yeah, nice to see you guys, and thanks for the warm welcome. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you, Girish.
Perfect. And coming to our next panelist, Salman Rajput, who is an experienced management professional with over 20 plus years of expertise across private banking, asset management, capital raising, institutional investments, working closely with ultra high network worth individuals and family offices across Europe and GCC. He is the founder of SR Capital, a boutique advisory platform focused on connecting capital with high quality investments opportunities. His work sits at the intersection of investors, banks, and fund managers, helping navigate complexity, align expectations, and build long-term relationships. He brings a deep practical perspective on structuring portfolios, raising capital, and building sustainable investment partnerships. So, welcome, Salman. We are very happy to have you here.
Thank you very much, Girish.
Welcome. And coming to our next panelist, Anuj Chaudhary. He is the head and strategy and growth at an FIU registered entity, Para Crypto Exchange. He has been representing Cardano in India and globally in blockchain conferences and media houses for the last 5 years. He has written dozens of white paper, tokenomics, research analysis on the decentralized technology powered businesses and their use cases as a Web3 analyst. He has appeared on mainstream media like CNBC TV, CNBC TV 18, Money Control, Business Insider, NewsX, etc. And he has been a very old friend and advisor to us also. So welcome, Anuj. Happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Grace. Thank you, gentlemen.
And coming to our next panelist, we have ISH Anand, who is a globally experienced business leader and entrepreneur. He brings over 30 plus years of expertise spanning corporate startups and advisory roles across 5 continents. His work covers SME, MSME development, digital transformation, financial services, and global strategy with active involvement in sectors such as hospitality, real estate, infrastructure, education, and sports. He serves on multiple advisory boards and holds equity in a diverse startup portfolio with several ventures advancing to Series A and attracting leading investors. Currently, he operates a UAE-based advisory firm and plays a key leadership role at EIC Corporation, iCapital Ventures, overseeing operations across 50 countries. He is a strong advocate of ESG, sustainability, and global scaling under the Make in India for the World vision. So welcome, Mr. Anand. Happy to have you here, and pleasure to have all of you together at one place.
Thank you, Girish. Thank you.
Perfect. So perfect. I will quickly start with the topic today, the fintech, capital, real world asset, tokenization. So, I can see a lot of amazing expert and brain here. So, like Mr. Tony Perkins, who was from Silicon Valley, he also told us, like, once the cloud is scattered, you will see the real tokenization of real world asset. So, I would love to hear from Mr. Raj. Because I think you are one of the pioneer in this industry, representing India and the blockchain and the complete industry, and trying to flourish this. So how Indian ecosystem can flourish, and how the world is coming along, and what would you say around this, in terms of RWA, tokenization, fractional ownership? You are on mute, sir. Hemant, if you can check.
Sorry, I'll unmute.
Yeah.
Am I unmuted now? All good?
Yes, perfect.
All right, guys. So, yeah, hi, guys. Good to be here. Tokenization, a word which is used, abused, misused, overused. That's my first statement. Everybody talks about tokenization. I'm going to ask only one question to everybody, not only in the room, but anybody listening in also. How many of you have actually experienced it in some way or the other? How many have actually worked on tokenization hands-on? Very few. So therefore, all these myths about tokenization, let's try and dispel some of them. But tokenization is here to stay. And we talk about fintech, finance, etc. It's not being disrupted from outside anymore. It's simply being rebuilt from inside. One asset at a time, I would say. For decades, we've had a system where all this value has been locked. We all know that. Everybody says locked value, illiquidity, etc., etc. That's great, good, cool words, lovely words. Trust is intermediated and nothing like that. But real world assets on blockchain is going to change all these problems once and for all. Now, here's what I really want to think about. Let's first of all stop calling this innovation. It's not innovation. It's been there for donkey's years. But let's call it repricing of the entire financial system. For decades, we talked about just now, trillions of dollars trapped in illiquid assets, real estate, private credit, infrastructure, accessible only to those who've got the right networks, not necessarily the best insights. And this inefficiency is not really a feature, my friends. It's a failure. The tokenization, when it comes along, is the first, I would call it the first credible attempt. There have been plenty of attempts, but this is the first credible attempt to fix that at scale. Not by tweaking finance, not by adding some new stuff, but by rebuilding its very rails, the ownership, the liquidity, the distribution. Now we're moving from a world where capital is raised locally and exits are uncertain. We're moving from that. That's passé now. So all the people sitting on these thinking that, well, this is how capital is to be managed. All right, guys, right now, absolutely. But in some time, not really. It's moving to where these assets are going to be fractionally, globally traded continuously, and yield, my friends, is programmable. That's real world asset tokenization. But let's not romanticize it. It's great to hear that. It's not about technology. Technology is just an enabler. It's a tool. This is about who's going to capture the value when about $100 trillion worth of assets get repriced, repackaged, redistributed, reprogrammed. So the question now is whether RWAs will happen. Of course, the question now no longer is that. It is who in this room is positioned to capture that upside and who is about to be disintermediated by it. That is the question, not only for India, but it's a global question. As Tony said, let the clouds dissipate. Well, they have dissipated. There's no more clouds. That's the only vision of the future. And that's how I see it. That's my opinion, because I've been working on it since the last maybe 8 years now, 7, 8 years. But that's the future. And I'm telling you one thing, it's just we are at the ground floor of that beautiful revolution called tokenization.
Amazing, sir. Love the energy and the way you have been telling us about this. That's amazing. So Anuj, I will come up to you. Like, you have been into this from a very long time, like one of the first OG and tokenization expert from the policy angle also.
Yeah.
You have been talking to some of the biggest politicians of the country to implement all these policies for tokenization, stablecoin. You had your own stablecoin project. You are representing Cardano, one of the top 10 chains in the world from a very long time, managing all these, DAO and stuff. So how do you see from your perspective, like how this is evolving, in terms of India and all the other part of it, UAE, US, and policy angle, like where are we standing? How do you see, how should be our approach? What timeline are we standing at?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I will take Raj Kapoor's question here. So he
Please.
just shoot on us. First thing first, RWAs were there earlier, right? As he rightly mentioned. The thing is like we are packaging it differently. And with the tagging of stablecoins, bringing them on the certain valuation, right? And with some appreciation. And he already mentioned like how we are making those illiquid assets moving. And for an example, I'm giving an example from India itself, from Telangana. So what exactly happened a couple of years back? We tokenized a granite mine in Telangana, where we generated pre-revenue, pre-revenue for the mining purpose. So we came up with the granite blocks with certain pricing for every block, and the premium for investor was 10%. So those blocks were not like sold out in India, but globally. And the company that helped us, that was Switzerland-based company, because in India we don't have such regulation as such right now. So that was one thing. But the project was from India, and we generated pre-revenue. I would say not pre-revenue, but pre-construction or pre-mining corpus to help us to dig in granite, and then whether the person is willing to take that granite block, or like they want to take their 10% premium what they invested. So things are moving, but very slowly at very low scale, I would say. They generated some revenue, some corpus out of that, but the scale wasn't that much, I would say. Like 100K or 200K USD. It's not great, I would say. But when it comes to like, we talking about trillions, right? Trillions. And this is the one of the, I think McKinsey came up with this prediction, 30 trillion illiquid assets and potential for RWAs. So I believe that the scalability is something that we should see, but that will come once we have some sort of a regulation. Just not in India, but globally. US is moving, and I think that stable coins tagging for those assets and bringing to illiquid assets to some liquidity in terms of stable coins. Because I believe that stable coins are going to make those illiquid asset liquid. And in that case, we should have at least stable coins, because again, stable coins are like tokenized. Stable coins are tokenized currency tokenization per se. So once we have those regulation and everything sorted, then we can see those RWAs at certain scales, not like 100K, 1 million or 2 million. We're talking about trillion, but we yet to reach to billions, right? When it comes to whether like you are also working on the gold mining, right? Gold mining tokenization. So things are moving slowly, but again, would love to know about like what's the scale, like at what scale you are tokenizing that gold mine. I'm sure like it should be, the scale shouldn't be like 1 million or 2 million when you talk about gold, seeing the pricing of gold right now. So things are moving, but very slowly at very low scale. This is my take.
No, absolutely, Anuj. Thank you so much. And please, Raj, I think you are unmute.
Yes, sorry.
You need to be
I just wanted to add to Anuj. Anuj just correctly put some points there. But one of the things is the biggest problem in India is regulation. There are no regulations. That's not the problem. It's not there only. It doesn't exist as such, especially for RWA. In fact, one of the things I'm working right now is with the Bureau of Indian Standards, with the government of India, to actually create standards for tokenization. I'm the chair of that committee. Apart from 9 or 7 other committees, that's a move in that direction. If you don't have that, there's going to be no movement. We're just going to have a lot of talks, many more panels like this, and no action coming out of that. So I've been into a number of panels where we've spoken a hell of a lot. Nothing has come from that time, and it's been 1.5 years. I've been speaking and yelling myself. We submitted 19 white papers to the government of India. Nothing has happened. But now some movements from the standardization perspective have started. So that's why one of the reasons why you didn't raise much is because nobody knows what's going to happen. Whether it's going to be legal, illegal, tax, not tax, etc., etc., etc. No frameworks, no definitions. So that's a very big key factor.
No, absolutely. Thanks. Totally agree, Raj sir. And adding to that, a question for Mr. Salman. You being from the financial understanding as a fund, managing all these investments and, things around. So like institutions like BlackRock are into it and heavily promoting it. All the SEC and all the Crypto Act, Stable Act, Genius Act, and all these things are coming from the US side. How do you see and envision, this taking care of all the things? Because I've been meeting some of the top officials, and bring that and we'll copy it and we'll start implementing it in our country and start liquidifying the illiquid asset. So that approach I've been hearing when I am also a frontier in tokenizing and liquidifying the illiquid assets. So how do you look at it when such big amazing institutes are moving and promoting and investing heavily into this kind of initiatives? So Mr. Salman, please.
Sure. Thank you. So first of all, Mr. Raj is very correct, because the tokenized asset market will be $16 trillion by 2030, which is roughly 10% of global GDP. So that just shows you that we are very much at the beginning of this trajectory and curve. Now, look, I live in UAE, and one of the most interesting fintech firms here in DIFC is a company called Stake. And Stake is actually something that is actually genuinely providing a tokenized real estate platform. People can invest 1,000 dirhams and suddenly they have some exposure into the UAE real estate market. So it's very nascent. I think that you should always take your lead from a company like BlackRock, because these guys, they're the new Goldman Sachs now, right? So, before 10, 20 years ago, when Goldman Sachs were getting into something, you knew this was like a sure bet. Now BlackRock is that company. So if BlackRock is working on that, you take your indicator from there. But for sure, there are so many assets. I mean, I'll give you just one example. I've got a British Zimbabwean friend. He has mines right now in Africa. And, it's a usual problem, asset rich, cash poor. So what are they doing? They're tokenizing. So this is it's completely revolutionizing and democratizing the financial world.
Absolutely, Salmanji. That's quite an insightful thing. And adding to that, we are working on some of the projects where we are helping some of the entrepreneurs to raise funds through tokenization on the data centers, on the oil and gas industries, refineries, gold mines, regenerative agriculture, and several amazing asset-heavy businesses. But again, Mr. Anand, I would like to understand from you, what are the risks involved here? What are it sounds great. Oh, wow, we are tokenizing, we'll collect billions of dollars. This industry is amazing. But what is your perspective on the risk involved to the investor, to the asset owners?
Look, just to give you a little background, I think what Raj, Anuj, and Salman have mentioned, I think all of it carries a lot of weight. However, I think it varies from region to region. There are regions where this would work well. There are regions where it will not. So India, for example, due to the lack of regulations, the lack of education about tokenization amongst the investor community, those are issues. However, take a European market, for example. We run a fund out of Europe. We have a stablecoin which is listed on the LCX. And our fund is a tokenization-driven fund. Now, we are already, because there is decent regulation in the European markets, we are already using tokenization as an asset where we made investments in 40 companies. And we have a set of both retail as well as institutional investors. Now, primary reason there is education in that market. There are regulations that drive it. And I think that's what is the key factor. Until and unless in a country like India, you don't get better education, and like Raj mentioned, he's been trying for a number of years. We can always shout from the rooftops and say, it's a $30 trillion market. It's growing at 40% CAGR. All those are facts that all the big four have put down on paper. But
Is that really being supported by regulations? That's the big question. Does it unlock illiquid assets? It does. There's no question. So there are companies even in India that are using partial tokenization forms in the real estate space. They are saying it's tokenization. They're saying it's fractionalization.
Yeah.
But it's a hybrid. It's a cross between the two. The UAE per se is a slightly more evolved market because they've brought in rules and regulations. DIFC has some regulations. Stake is a great example, no question at all. There was one before that. There's Pripco now, which is doing some more stuff. So we do that too. We have two funds, one in Singapore and one in the European Union. We do some amount of tokenization in both areas. So I think, if I were to really narrow it down and say, what's the big risk factor? Regulation is definitely the big risk factor. The other one is, are people educated enough about tokenization? The answer is no. I don't believe that has really happened enough. Do enough people talk about tokenization in India? There's just very few who talk about it. They want to tokenize, but they don't know where to tokenize and how to tokenize. They don't know where to raise the money. Yeah. Can you raise the money out of India? Yeah, that's the big question mark. Yeah. But can you raise it globally? You mentioned, yes, I think Anuj mentioned that, you had done something for a mine in Telangana. That's fair enough. But how many people in global markets will want to actually invest in a mine in Telangana? That's the big question. Why? Because there isn't enough education. There isn't enough awareness. Is there enough capital in India to unlock? If there is good education and regulations, the answer is definitely yes. There are lots of people who would love to put money into tokenization, but do they really understand it? That's my big question. So we can talk about great figures. We can talk about 18 trillion, 30 trillion, 40% CAGR, but yes, fundamental issues need to be looked at to start with. If we are able to resolve those, definitely. Markets like the European Union are a lot more evolved. We've done some substantial work in the European Union, and we have investors from all over the world. We have investors from the Middle East, we have investors from Africa, from other parts of Europe. So I think it depends from market to market. India is definitely a huge potential, but it's not got there as yet. Middle East has huge potential, but how many guys actually have a VARA license? You've got to ask yourself that question. Yeah.
Two guys.
Yeah. So I think, one can keep talking about it, but is it really transforming into action? So the education and regulation are two very clear areas for me.
No, wonderful answer, Anand. Thank you for your insight and great understanding around the space. So a great question arises from the risk perspective of yours, the entry barrier to this. Today, if there is someone with an asset who wants to build a building, hotel, or a tokenizing their own mines or farms, so what is that barrier which comes along? So Mr. Raj, if you can give us an insight, if there are, from the audience, so many people would be there to understand how they can literally liquidify their heavy assets. So how far are we so that any common man watching this from different parts of the world can literally tokenize and raise funds, and how to do it, and what are the barriers? So, sir,
the biggest barrier, I would say the biggest barrier, Ish mentioned clearly education and compliance. I mean, I've already talked about compliance anyways. We don't have compliance, we don't have regulation, and we don't have the speed. We don't have the speed. Neither do I'm in Dubai myself. I stay here myself. I'm an advisor to with the VARA. I worked with the VARA regulations 4 years back. The part of the frameworks are written by our team. Now, having said that, we thought that things will move really fast, but I think now things may move very fast. One of the insights, things are that, yes, everything needs to be virtually, at least in paper, on provisionally approved in 6 weeks' time. And then maybe he issue the license in another 6 weeks' time. Then we maybe have more than 2 licenses. Okay. And I'm talking about 2. I'm not talking about all the licenses. I'm talking about 2 who can do the issuance part of it now. He's talked about stake. That was one of them. Control Alt has got in UAE. Control Alt has got one. That's a good thing. And then one more I'm working with very closely. They're about to get it. In principle, they've got it, but hopefully in the next 2 months they should have an actual license. But that's really, very, very slow movements. You need to have speed. You need to have understanding very clearly. We all talk about economics in our college and all of these things, but nobody talks about tokenomics. The new economics is of tokens. So that's not there in colleges and schools. You go to a college and ask them, what's tokenomics? You ask them about crypto. Oh, yes. Bitcoin kitne ka hai? How much is Bitcoin? Paisa dalu kya? These are not the questions we really want the youth to be asking us. And they don't even know what is Bitcoin. They don't know they're going to make money out of it. That's all. Okay. The education is definitely sacrosanct. Second, the compliance. It is so complicated. It is so complicated at times. In so many jurisdictions, I worked in 19 or 20 jurisdictions for my tokenization projects. Right now, I'm working on a $350 million project, real-world asset project. We managed to do a pre-placement, that is internally, but it's still struggling to get the issuance. Now, Ras Al Khaimah started Innovation City. Say we're going to have tokenization as one of our line of businesses. Sorry, guys, it's still there on paper. Beautiful, sounds great stuff. All suits and ties talk to us about it. What the hell is the use of it? It's not coming through. When I asked them last year, it's coming in June. I asked them again, just last month, it's coming in June. I think June is a great month. I'm going to really wait for June. I'm going to see what happens. And this is happening. In the meantime, they've changed 2 CEOs. Great stuff. Okay, that's one of the things. So we have it in principle on our agendas. It's not there. Now, for all the people, the entry barrier besides education and compliance are very little. You have an asset, yes. In India, one of the biggest problems is ownership. Documentary ownership is really sketchy. I'm not talking always of tier 1. I'm talking about mostly tier 2, tier 3. Really sketchy. For example, Anuj says, Telangana, I must give you all the complete compliments for getting it done in Telangana. The lot of documentary nonsense which is there, I don't know how you managed it, but I'm glad you did something. Okay. I'm working with the government of Telangana on the land titling right now. So I know the mess it is in right now. Okay. That's one. So again, titleships, I don't think is, and for mining, it's even more so because mines are leased and then they're not owned by anybody. There's a lot of issues and ifs and buts. So anybody got an asset, first check whether it is actually your documentary evidence is there that is yours or you've leased it correctly. Let's get that done. Another thing is, if it's from India perspective, SPV, where should I put the SPV? How do I bring my money back? FDA, all sorts of things, lots of too many agencies to look out for. You're going to be looking over your shoulder all your life. Try and set up in Gift City. Try and set it up, and you'll have 100 people asking 100 questions from all angles, and most of them are going to be ones from government perspective. How are you tokenizing? Oh, he's dealing in crypto. You got a target on your back sometimes if you do that. That's another very big risk sometimes. It's not really a risk, but people feel that's a risk. Okay, if I start tokenization, is the government going to get after me? We don't know. I'm not commenting on that. I have no idea. But definitely it's a target on the back if you open it in India. So in India, people are very cautious. Globally, some mature markets are there. As you said, yes, sitting in Dubai, yes, ADGM is there, DIFC is there. Then we have, in the Swiss markets are good. Europe has MICA, so some of European countries are pretty good in that. However, how many people are doing it in how many countries? That's a good question. Now, somebody says, I'm tokenizing gold. The biggest problem I say is not the tokenization part of it. That's easy. I can get a 14-year-old kid of mine, nephew of mine, to sit down and create tokens. Not a problem. Where's the money going to come from? Where's your primary market? Where's your secondary market? Where's the trading? What's the liquidity? There is no liquidity pools inside this space as yet. These are real world problems. You got to identify them while you're thinking. Yeah, it's a great idea. I'm tokenizing a 50 million gold mine. Guys, great stuff. Who is going to buy your tokens? How many have you sold? What is the answerability? Nobody's going to tell you that. They'll only tell you the first half. I liquidated 50 million gold. Hey, who bought your gold? That's the question I ask everybody. Who's bought your gold? Who's bought your tokens? Okay. Everybody says, oh, real world asset tokenization, great stuff. It is great stuff. It is the best thing since sliced bread. But who's bought your tokens? That's another question. Oh, as you said correctly, as you said, in Telangana, who's going to buy the tokens of a mine in Telangana? Unless you make the right noise about it. Why should I buy it? There is a lot of, the marketing is another cost which comes in. So the cost and entry barriers sometimes become a showstopper for a lot of people. I'm talking to one right now, one guy, he's got 100,000 acres of land in Brazil. He's got gold, he found gold in that, great stuff. But when it comes to costing, hey, he's got 1.3 billion worth of gold. But will you not spend even 1 or 2% of it for getting it inside? No, very rare. He's an Indian, so he'll think 10 times. Okay, so entry costs sometimes are a big issue. Then you have, which are the platforms? All platforms will give you tokenization. Plenty of great platforms. Who will give you liquidity? Who will give you everything on chain? No one will give you, whether it is stake, nobody will give you, because that's not the job. They are tech companies. You've got to make ecosystems. So when you enter the right platforms and the right ecosystems before you dive headlong into it. Just because it sounds great and cool to be tokenized, it's not always that cool. So I think the secondary markets, the marketing, the entry barriers of costing, these are the couple of things which you really must be also on your cards, besides education and, of course, good old compliance, which in India we don't see right now coming up very fast, but other places there. Let's look for other jurisdictions. It's not a showstopper though.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much, Raj. That's a great insight and a real problem which like people who are tokenizing and trying to get into this industry are really facing. So talking about ecosystem, Raj, like Anuj has been leading Cardano and some of the biggest ecosystem and the top ecosystem of blockchain, right? So Anuj, like you are also helping us to get into this ecosystem, DAOs, the Draper Dragon Cardano Fund, and so many other amazing communities who are actually required to buy these tokens. So would love to hear how these ecosystems are penetrating, supporting these projects, and evolving to flourish this industry.
Yeah, indeed. So building on top of what Raj said, like we need buyers. Like who
Yes,
are
absolutely.
your buyers? You are tokenizing, whether you're tokenizing gold or you're tokenizing databases, but who are buyers? So indeed, the ecosystems that you have to create, and these ecosystem, obviously, so I'm going to second this Ish Anand's point of view. Education. So the ecosystems within blockchain are broader. Like we saw, like there were like narratives around NFTs, right? Build lot of ecosystem, a lot of actors, celebrities came into the picture, right? Like, but education side, half-baked narratives, right? And we saw like it collapsed. And even NFTs were like kind of a tokenization, right? Of art, assets. But yeah, NFT died, but tokenization are going to stay. And ecosystems are going to help. They are going to be the buyers after understanding the value of those assets. Because right now, I would say the middlemen making money from top-notch elite classes. But when it comes to the middle class, upper middle class, lower class, or even a salaried person, like they are not exposed to such assets, like assets that are going to be in the market after 2 years, but you are getting access to those assets firsthand. The gold is not yet to be mined, but you can get the tokenized version of that. So ecosystem and well-educated ecosystems, they are going to be the buyers. And this is exactly what happened when we tokenized the granite part. Also, we tokenized gold. That was other part. Like we tokenized the gold listed company's assets. That is Kinka Gold, the Japanese listed company. Sold out. Reason, because we literally marketed that to the Cardano ecosystem and the broader ecosystem, Japanese ecosystem. So we know, like we know the target, we know whom we are going to cater, right? With those tokenized assets. So indeed, like if you don't have any ecosystem in place, if you don't have any marketing strategy in place, and education, again, top-notch strategy that you need.
Absolutely, Anuj. So adding to this, like one of the most amazing project where we are also trying tokenizing gold mines and trying to do that and get it into the picture. So there, the buyers are the institutions, like the hedge funds, family offices who are buying a bulk chunk of these, tokenized assets. And rather than looking for a broader community or retail or, thousands of retail investors, They're just looking for few quality investors who are buying big portion, not the exact whole 100%, but maybe big chunks. So this question is for Salman and Mr. Anand. If you can comment on this and give us some insight, so that would be a great outlook for us.
Ish, you can go first.
Sure. Thanks, Salman. Okay, look, I mean, if you have a commodity to sell and you don't have buyers, there's obviously going to be a problem. Okay, so finding buyers is always a challenge. But if you've created transparency, if you've created quality, and if you've created great returns that you can take to the right people, then you will always find buyers. Anuj mentioned, you took, it to the Cardano ecosystem. Yes, blockchain is important. Raj mentioned that, traceability. So all that is important. We have our own examples. So our Singapore fund, we are a gold bond backed fund. Okay, we have our own gold mining assets in South America, which we've created bonds for. We've insured them. We can see the bonds on Bloomberg as well as they're listed on the AfriNext exchange. So there is an entire ecosystem that has been created. And we've gone and set up a fund in Singapore, which is a VCC of Singapore. So people can actually come and buy those bonds off us. We can tokenize them. We can use them for investments. Banks are willing to take them as collateral, and companies are willing to take those off us or look at bonds against equity. So there are several structures you can actually put in place. Now, can you use this for tokenization? Of course, you can use this for tokenization. It's a high quality asset. There's traceability. So it has all those factors that are available to ensure that transparency is assured. And we have a good fund manager who takes it out to his set of clients and says, hey, these are high quality bonds. Let's invest in them. We have a coupon rate that we've guaranteed because the Monetary Authority of Singapore has mandated that you have to guarantee a coupon rate. So all the safety, security, transparency, traceability, whatever you want has been put in place. And a good ecosystem has been put in place, which can help you do a lot of marketing and monetization. Yeah, it gives you the flexibility to raise funds or to invest or to collateralize. So, options are there of similar natures in many locations. Our European fund on the other side, our fund vehicle itself is a tokenized fund vehicle. Okay, so we are able to use that. And through that, we've invested in 40 of our own portfolio companies, both a mixture of retail as well as, because we've created a community. So we've created a community. We talk to people, we talk to investors, we talk to institutions, and we're able to take it through an ecosystem. You spoke about, I think Raj as well as Anuj mentioned about secondary markets. Okay, secondary markets are extremely important. So we've created an ecosystem in Europe where we have a primary, but also our own internal secondary market. Okay, so it works just like your stock exchange. We have our own terminals, we have everything. We trade, between our internal communities. 2027, we are actually taking it to an IPO. Okay, so it's because I already have a stablecoin which is listed, it's on the LCX, it's already listed, it gives me an advantage. So there are several factors you need to really look at. Not everybody has that. Every small company that wants to tokenize says, oh, I'm tokenizing my asset. But correct, where do you find those customers? Where is it linked to? How is it linked? Does everybody have the power to go global and market these assets? marketing one small individual asset is not an easy proposition. Okay, it's a costly affair. So I think there are several factors, but there is a way around it. Okay, working in different jurisdictions and different markets, looking at different strategies, but clearly, you need that muscle, and you need to have big muscle to be able to do this, because unit economics with small assets and don't always work out. There's a lot of real estate being tokenized or fractionalized or whatever you want to call it. But do the unit economics always work out? That's the big question mark. So I think that's what I would say.
Girish, I would just add that actually I think that there's a great, we have such a esteemed panel here, so much knowledge. And actually, I think that is a business venture that we can create, the 4 or 5 of us together, which is actually, we have like, the Mumbai Stock Exchange, London Stock Exchange, this and that. We should create the world's first token exchange, so that they open it up for the retail market.
Yeah, it's already being, Salman, it's already being done. I'm already working on that right now with 3 very large investors. It has to be there. If it's not going to be there, your point is bang on. It needs to be there. Well, it's already being done now. I'm already 1/3 of it down now. By December, you'll probably see the light of day. And most welcome to work together, all of us. As I say, very good. It's all brains, all hands on deck is what's required today. It's not one-man show. It's not a one-trick pony. It's all of us on the stage here. All of us should be part of it. And you're most welcome. Reach out anytime, and I'm happy to get you involved in that as well.
Sure. Yeah.
100%. Thank you. No, I mean, even we're making one, but the point I'm trying to make is that even if we have one on each continent, we still need 5 or 6, right?
Absolutely.
Let's start with one. Let's put the first dot in place. Then we can build. As I say, you build block by block. Let's put the Genesis block in place for this right now.
Walk before you can run.
Yeah. Absolutely. Even I I would love to tell you guys that we have already fractionalized real estate in India and also tokenizing, different commodities and stuff around the world. So our platform maxtronize.com is enabling that with the compliance structure and technically and moving things forward. Again, we are looking for licenses and stuff, but again, I think that's a great panel who can literally fasten up, and I would love to reach out to all of you guys and take it forward. And by ending this panel, I would love to hear one statement from all of you for concluding this, and then we can summarize and move to the next session. So Mr. Raj, what would you like to quickly tell us in one statement to summarize everything?
Okay, I'm going to say one thing. RWAs are not going to transform finance because of technology that I told you before. Also, they'll transform them because of incentives, and that's what we require. Incentives. Institutions that embrace will, of course, unlock the trillions. And again, as all of us said, we need the liquidity markets. We need a better system in place. It's pretty much broken. We need it fixed. And so our RWAs are not the future of finance. They are the battleground, I feel, where the future of finance is being decided right now. And right now is the time. Another few years, we'll be left behind time. So I think we are right now, as I said, ground floor. And that's a great place to be, the ground floor, because then there's only one way up. Forget the basement, just go up. That's what I would say. Bring the compliance in place. That's all, especially from India perspective. Rest of it is all cool.
Perfect. Anuj, next, yours.
Yeah. So I'll stick to the topic. Just want to answer the topic that we were discussing, hype or yield. Indeed, yield. Future of finance. I believe the stable coins are the future of finance, and they are going to benefit the real world assets. So this is my take on this. And RWAs are moving slowly, but again, there are hiccups around compliance and regulation, as we all mentioned. And we'll see some sort of a clarity once we have Clarity Act in place. And also, like, India will move, will get some cue, and they talk about global framework. And I see the global framework is what the other big countries, big players are doing.
Amazing. Salman, next. Yes.
So I have a bet that within the next 5 years, the concept of a financial intermediary as we know it would become optional rather than mandatory, as firms and companies, let's say a mid-tier firm in Nairobi, for example, just does everything it needs to do itself, trade, finance, etc., and the financial institution will be there almost like a backup rather than absolutely necessary to do that. So that's my
Wonderful.
my take.
Wonderful, sir. Mr. Anand.
So, I'll just make one small point. I think, what Raj, Salman, and Anuj have mentioned, all very, very valid. I think speed is of the essence, time is of the essence, like I think everybody says. We've created something which is interesting. We are officially launching it in Geneva in November. So if any one of you is in Geneva in November, you're most welcome. We're having a 3-day event there to bring this out into the open. And we should have representation from at least 30, if not 50 countries. And should be something interesting to watch. Lots of new alliances and partnerships being tailored. Happy to share more details, happy to collaborate and take this further.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes, Raj.
Sir, I'm with Ish. It's always nice when we have innovation talking, and innovation is not talking only about RWAs and tokens. It's about something. It's all here actually. It's all concepts. The concept is innovation. RWAs is always there. We've always said, yeah, milk market how. That's our grandparents have been always telling us this milk market how is nothing new. Now we're putting it in the digital format. That's all we're doing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Totally agree. So thank you so much and for your time and a great day. Thank you for making the Web3 Day special. It was such an amazing time with you, for hearing with you, and for the audience. I think they have literally experienced and gained a great knowledge to get into this industry, to move fast, to get their compliance sorted, and understand how the ecosystem is helping and whom to reach out. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you. We'll move to the next session. Hemant, over to you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
Guys.
Bye.